Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. We're really excited to have you here with us as we dive into a very special topic that's both fascinating and incredibly useful. Whether you're new to our podcast or a returning listener, we're so glad you've joined us today. I'm Agnes, and with me is my wonderful co-host, Jasper.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. We've got a really interesting discussion lined up for you today. It's something that's not only fun, but also a fantastic way to improve your English, especially if you're aiming for advanced level fluency. So, Agnes, why don't you tell everyone what we're going to be talking about?
Of course, Jasper. Today, we're diving into the idea of learning English through documentaries. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, documentaries. Aren't those just for people who love science or history? Well, here's the thing. Documentaries are for everyone, and they can be a powerful tool for learning English. So, whether you're into nature, history, social issues, or even art, there's a documentary out there that can help you improve your language skills.
Exactly. I mean, think about it, documentaries offer a mix of storytelling, facts, and real-world conversations. It's not like watching a typical movie or show. You're hearing language that's often more structured and clear, yet still conversational. It's like learning in an immersive environment without even leaving your house. And for advanced English learners, that's perfect.
Totally. And here's the beauty of it. Documentaries give you exposure to authentic language. You'll hear real people talking, sometimes in interviews or in natural settings, which can really help you understand how English is used in different contexts. Plus, they often cover complex topics, which is great for improving your vocabulary and comprehension at an advanced level.
Absolutely, Agnes. And the great thing is, because documentaries often focus on educational or informative subjects, you're not just learning English, you're learning about the world, about different cultures, and about new ideas. It's a two-in-one experience. So, for anyone who's serious about becoming more fluent and wants to do it in a way that's both engaging and meaningful, watching documentaries is a fantastic strategy.
Yes, Jasper. And I think it's important to mention that documentaries also use a wide range of vocabulary. Unlike movies or sitcoms, which might stick to casual conversation, documentaries expose you to a lot of academic or specialized terms, which is excellent for advanced learners. You'll hear words related to science, politics, nature, history, basically everything. And that's really what helps build a rich vocabulary.
That's such a good point. You're not just listening to small talk or basic conversations, you're getting into deeper discussions, which helps you think in English at a higher level. It challenges your brain, and that's where real growth happens. But, Agnes, let me ask you something. For someone who's new to watching documentaries as a learning tool, how do you think they should start? I mean, what's the best way to approach it?
That's a great question, Jasper. And honestly, the first thing I'd recommend is to choose a topic you're really interested in. If you're passionate about wildlife, for example, then start with nature documentaries. If you love history, go for something that covers historical events. When you enjoy the subject, you're more likely to stay engaged, and that's going to make the learning process much more enjoyable. Once you've picked a topic, here's what I suggest. Don't feel like you need to understand everything right away. It's okay to watch with subtitles, especially at first. You can follow along with the captions to help with any difficult words or phrases. And if there's a word or a phrase that you don't know, pause the documentary, look it up, and then go back to it. That way, you're not just passively watching, you're actively learning.
That's really smart advice. Watching with subtitles can make such a huge difference, especially when it comes to understanding those more difficult terms or fast-paced speech. And I like that you mentioned not trying to understand everything at once. Learning a language is about building up your understanding over time, not getting everything perfect the first time around.
Exactly. And another great tip is to rewatch documentaries. The first time you watch, you're getting familiar with the topic and the general language. The second time, you'll start picking up on more detailed things you might have missed. By the third time, you'll feel much more comfortable with the vocabulary and sentence structures. Repetition really helps cement the new language in your brain.
Yes, rewatching is such a powerful tool, and here's something else that can help advanced learners. After watching the documentary, try summarizing it in English, of course. This is an excellent way to test your comprehension. If you can explain the documentary to someone else, or even just to yourself, then you know you've really understood it.
I love that idea. Summarizing forces you to organize your thoughts and use the new vocabulary you've just learned. It's such a great way to reinforce what you've picked up. And if you want to take it even further, you can discuss the documentary with a friend or in an online forum. Having a conversation about it will push you to use English in a more dynamic way, helping you to improve both your speaking and your critical thinking skills.
Yes, definitely. And even if you don't have someone to talk to right away, you can write down your thoughts in a journal or blog about it. Writing is another great way to practice the language you've just learned. Plus, it gives you a record of your progress over time. You'll be surprised at how much you improve after writing about a few documentaries.
That's so true, Jasper. Writing is one of the best ways to solidify your learning. It doesn't have to be perfect, just get your ideas down on paper or on the screen. Over time, you'll see a big improvement in your ability to express complex ideas in English.
And speaking of complex ideas, documentaries really give you that opportunity to engage with advanced topics. Whether it's about science, history, or social issues, you're listening to English being used to explain complicated subjects in a clear and structured way. That's such valuable practice for anyone looking to improve their listening and comprehension skills at an advanced level.
Exactly. It's not just about everyday conversation, it's about developing the ability to understand and discuss deep topics, which is what advanced learners need. Documentaries challenge your brain to think critically in English. That's why they're such an effective tool for taking your language skills to the next level.
I couldn't agree more. And I think what's also great about documentaries is that they often show different perspectives. You'll hear a range of voices, accents, and opinions, which helps you get used to the diversity of the English language. As advanced learners, it's really important to be able to understand English in all its forms, not just one particular accent or style.
Yes, documentaries are amazing for that. You might hear interviews with people from different countries or backgrounds, which exposes you to different dialects and ways of speaking. It's excellent practice for understanding English in the real world, where you'll encounter all kinds of accents and pronunciations.
That's so true. And to all our listeners out there, I really encourage you to give documentaries a try as part of your English learning journey. Whether you're watching on streaming platforms or finding free documentaries online, there's a whole world of knowledge waiting for you. Plus, as we've been saying, it's such a fun and immersive way to improve your language skills.
Absolutely. Documentaries can truly transform the way you learn English, especially at an advanced level. They offer rich content, a variety of language uses, and they introduce you to ideas and topics you might not encounter in your everyday language practice. So, if you're looking for a new, exciting way to boost your English, documentaries are definitely the way to go.
I'm so excited for our listeners to try this out. There's so much potential to learn in a way that's both educational and entertaining. And just remember, as you're watching, to stay patient with yourself. Language learning is a process, and every bit of effort you put in gets you one step closer to fluency.
Exactly, Jasper. So, to everyone out there, pick a documentary that interests you and get started. You're going to learn new words, phrases, and ideas and have fun doing it. And we're here to support you on your journey every step of the way.
Absolutely. We'll be right here, helping you make the most out of every learning opportunity. And speaking of learning opportunities, there's still so much more to explore when it comes to using documentaries as a learning tool.
Yes, there is. So, let's keep this conversation going because we're just getting into the really exciting part.
Exactly, Agnes. We're just scratching the surface of how documentaries can be used as a fantastic tool for learning English. What I really love about them is that they can be so engaging. You're not just sitting there memorizing words or grammar, rules, but you're learning in a way that's natural and keeps your attention. It's so different from the traditional ways of learning. In fact, I think for advanced learners, this is one of the most effective ways to take things up a notch, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's like learning without realizing you're learning. You're immersed in the content, following the story, the facts, or the exploration of a particular topic, and along the way, you're picking up new vocabulary, expressions, and sentence structures almost effortlessly. It's that combination of education and entertainment that really makes documentaries so valuable.
Yes, and another thing I want to highlight is that documentaries can also help you understand cultural nuances in English. A lot of documentaries dive deep into different societies, customs, and real-life experiences. This helps you get a feel for not only the language, but also the context in which certain words or phrases are used. This is crucial at an advanced level because understanding language isn't just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about knowing when and how to use these words in real-life situations.
Exactly. You know, documentaries often cover subjects that deal with real-world issues, things like politics, the environment, or history. And through those subjects, you get exposed to a variety of viewpoints and ways of speaking. This helps broaden your understanding of how English is used in different parts of the world and how it adapts to different contexts. For example, a documentary about climate change might introduce you to scientific terms, but it could also include interviews with everyday people who express their concerns in a much simpler, more casual way.
That's such a good point. And this variety of language styles is crucial for advanced learners. Because you're not just trying to master one specific type of English, you want to be able to understand and communicate with people from all kinds of backgrounds, and documentaries give you that exposure. They offer formal language, casual language, and everything in between, all wrapped into one package. And think about it if you're watching a documentary that covers, say, a historical event. You're not just hearing historians explain things. You might also hear locals who lived through that event sharing their personal experiences. Each person has their own way of expressing things, and that's exactly what you need to understand to be truly fluent.
Yes, and that's what makes documentaries such a rich learning tool. The variety in speech patterns, accents, and even emotional tones you hear can really help you develop a more nuanced understanding of English. And this also ties into something we often overlook: intonation and tone of voice. In documentaries, especially in interviews, you can really pay attention to how people's tone of voice changes depending on what they're talking about or how they feel.
Exactly. Tone of voice is a huge part of communication that advanced learners often need to focus on. Sometimes, it's not just what someone is saying, but how they're saying it. Documentaries really help you tune into those subtle changes, whether someone is expressing excitement, sadness, or frustration. It's like you're not just learning the words themselves, but how to use them in a more human, emotional way.
And isn't that what fluency is all about? It's not just being able to understand the words, but being able to communicate the feeling behind them. Documentaries are great for teaching that because they often deal with emotional, impactful subjects, and you can hear how real people express those emotions in English. For an advanced learner, this is key to sounding natural and more like a native speaker.
Exactly. Fluency is all about that natural flow of language, which includes understanding and expressing emotions, nuances, and subtle shifts in meaning. And documentaries are perfect for that. But let's not forget about the visual element of documentaries. While you're listening to the language, you're also seeing the context, which helps solidify what you're learning. The combination of audio and visual storytelling makes the learning experience much richer.
Oh yes, that's such a good point. Sometimes, just hearing a word isn't enough to really understand it. But when you see the visuals that go along with it, it clicks in your mind much faster. Let's say you're watching a documentary on wildlife, and they're talking about endangered species. You not only hear the terms extinct or endangered, but you see the animals, the environment they live in, and the reasons why they're endangered. This combination of hearing and seeing helps you remember and understand the words more deeply.
Exactly. And that's something you can't always get from a textbook or even from regular TV shows. Documentaries are structured in such a way that they educate and entertain you simultaneously, which is why they're so effective for learning. And let's also talk about another aspect of learning through documentaries: critical thinking. Documentaries often present facts, but they also ask questions or encourage viewers to think about the issues at hand. This not only improves your language skills, but also pushes you to think critically in English. You're engaging with the content on a deeper level, which can really boost your comprehension and analytical abilities.
Exactly, Jasper. I think that's a major benefit that often gets overlooked. Watching documentaries makes you think. You're not just passively absorbing information, you're being asked to reflect, to form opinions, and to engage with complex ideas. And doing all of that in English really strengthens your ability to think in the language, which is one of the most important skills at the advanced level.
Yes, and for those who want to take it even further, you can always discuss the documentary with someone else, either in person or online. There are plenty of discussion forums where people talk about documentaries, and this gives you a great chance to practice your writing or speaking skills, expressing your thoughts, and engaging in a conversation about the documentary can really help reinforce what you've learned. Plus, you get to hear other people's perspectives, which can introduce you to even more vocabulary and ideas.
Exactly. It's like extending the learning experience beyond just watching. And when you start discussing documentaries with others, you're not just practicing language skills, you're also practicing critical thinking, debate, and even listening to other opinions, which are all part of advanced fluency.
And that's what makes learning through documentaries so versatile. It's not just about improving one area of your English, it's about improving all areas: listening, speaking, writing, and even thinking. So, if you're an advanced learner looking for a new way to challenge yourself, documentaries are the way to go. You get exposure to rich, authentic language and complex topics that really push your skills to the next level.
Absolutely, Jasper. And I think what's also great is that there are documentaries for every interest. Whether you're into science, culture, history, or even art, you can find something that not only teaches you English, but also teaches you about the world. That makes learning both exciting and meaningful.
And that's what makes it sustainable, right? When you're genuinely interested in the topic, it doesn't feel like a chore. You're learning because you want to, not because you have to. And that's where real growth happens, when learning is driven by curiosity and passion.
Exactly. When you're passionate about what you're watching, the language sticks with you. You remember the words and phrases because they're tied to something you care about. So, the more you explore documentaries that match your interests, the more natural your language learning process will become.
And the best part is, With platforms like YouTube, Netflix, and even free streaming services, documentaries are more accessible than ever. So, there's really no excuse not to start integrating them into your learning routine. It's an easy, enjoyable, and incredibly effective way to improve your English at the advanced level.
Yes, and the variety is endless. You can start with short documentaries if you're just getting used to this learning method, and then work your way up to full-length feature documentaries. And remember, the key is to be consistent. The more you watch, the more you'll improve, and the faster you'll see results.
Exactly, Agnes. So, to everyone listening, start exploring. Pick a documentary today, and watch how your English skills improve as you immerse yourself in rich, authentic content. You'll be amazed at how much you can learn just by sitting back and enjoying a good documentary. And with that, I think we've covered some really important points today, haven't we?
We certainly have, Jasper. From vocabulary to critical thinking, from listening skills to cultural understanding, documentaries offer it all for advanced learners. We hope we've inspired everyone listening to dive into this wonderful world of learning English through documentaries.
Absolutely. So, if you're ready to take your English to the next level, documentaries are the perfect way to do it. You'll learn, you'll grow, and most importantly, you'll enjoy the process. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, Jasper. And what's even more exciting is that when you start using documentaries regularly, you'll notice improvements in more than just your English skills. Your overall ability to analyze information, draw conclusions, and even articulate your thoughts more clearly will improve. It's like sharpening your mind while you sharpen your language skills. And for advanced learners, this is such an important stage because it's not just about understanding individual words or grammar points anymore. It's about mastering the ability to think in English and to express complex ideas smoothly and confidently.
Exactly, Agnes. And I think this ties back to the idea that documentaries give you access to topics that are both intellectually stimulating and emotionally engaging. Whether you're watching something about environmental conservation, space exploration, or human rights, you're immersing yourself in important conversations happening all around the world. You're learning how to talk about these subjects in English, but you're also learning how to engage in those conversations thoughtfully and with depth.
Absolutely. And when you start engaging with these kinds of topics, you're not only improving your English, but also becoming a more informed, well-rounded person. And that's another beauty of learning through documentaries. It's not just language practice, it's world practice. You're constantly exposed to new perspectives, new ways of thinking, and new ideas, all of which challenge you to grow as a learner and as a person.
That's such a great way to put it, Agnes. World practice. Documentaries connect us with global issues and communities. And as you listen to different voices and opinions, you also start developing empathy and understanding for different cultures. For advanced learners, that cultural understanding is just as important as language fluency because it allows you to communicate more effectively and sensitively with people from all around the world.
Yes, and I think that's something we don't always talk about enough. Language is so deeply connected to culture, and when you understand the cultural context behind certain phrases or expressions, you're able to use the language in a way that feels more natural and authentic. Documentaries help with that because they give you a window into different worlds, different ways of life, and different ways of speaking. You can really hear how people from various backgrounds express themselves, and that helps you become a more versatile communicator.
Exactly. And this versatility is key for advanced learners who want to take their English to the next level. It's about being able to adapt your language depending on the situation, whether you're discussing something serious like climate change or having a casual conversation about someone's personal experience. Documentaries provide this variety of contexts and styles of communication, which is so valuable.
And let's not forget how documentaries can also help with pronunciation and listening comprehension. Many advanced learners struggle with understanding native speakers, especially when they speak quickly or use different accents. But documentaries often feature interviews with people from all over the world, so you're exposed to a wide range of English accents and speaking speeds. This can help you train your ear and get used to understanding different ways of speaking, which is essential if you want to be fully fluent.
That's a great point. Understanding different accents is such an important skill, and documentaries are one of the best ways to practice that. Whether it's someone from the UK, Australia, or South Africa, you'll hear how English sounds in different parts of the world. And the more you expose yourself to these variations, the more comfortable you'll become in understanding them.
Exactly. And I would also say that this kind of exposure helps build confidence. When you're comfortable listening to different accents and understanding various speech patterns, it gives you the confidence to participate in conversations with people from diverse backgrounds. You're no longer worried about not understanding or being understood because you've already trained yourself to handle those challenges through documentaries.
Absolutely. It's all about building that confidence. And speaking of confidence, another thing I love about documentaries is how they often feature strong, powerful storytelling. The way these stories are told is incredibly engaging, and as a learner, you can absorb so much from the way people use their voices, their intonation, and their rhythm. This helps you develop not just your listening skills, but also your speaking abilities because you can model your own speech after the natural, fluid conversations you hear.
Exactly. Documentaries offer you a model for how real conversations flow. You're hearing people speak naturally, not reading from a script, which is something that's harder to find in other types of learning materials. This is so important for advanced learners who want to sound more natural and less like they're reading from a textbook. You can pick up on the subtle pauses, the emphasis on certain words, and the way people use expressions to convey their emotions.
Yes. And I think that's the key takeaway for anyone listening to this podcast today. Documentaries provide such a rich learning environment because they combine so many different elements of language. Vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, listening, and even critical thinking. They're such a powerful tool for anyone looking to truly master English, especially at an advanced level.
I completely agree. So, if you're looking for a fun, engaging, and effective way to improve your English, start watching documentaries. Find ones that interest you. Immerse yourself in the stories, and don't be afraid to challenge yourself with more complex topics. The more you expose yourself to, the faster you'll improve.
Yes, and don't forget to make it interactive. If you can, discuss what you've watched with a friend or even join an online community where people share their thoughts on documentaries. This will help you practice expressing your own opinions in English and engage with other viewpoints. It's a great way to reinforce what you've learned and continue growing your skills.
Exactly. And remember, learning a language is a journey, not a destination. The more you enjoy the process, the better your results will be. Documentaries make that process enjoyable while also being incredibly educational. You're not just learning English, you're learning about the world, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Well said, Agnes. And with that, we hope today's podcast has inspired you to dive into the world of documentaries and use them as a tool to enhance your English learning. There's a whole world of knowledge out there, and documentaries are your key to unlocking it, all while improving your language skills.
Absolutely. So, whether you're into nature, history, science, or culture, there's a documentary out there for you. And as you explore these incredible stories, remember that every minute you spend watching is also helping you become more fluent, more confident, and more knowledgeable in English.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up. We've covered a lot of ground today, and we hope you found this discussion as exciting and informative as we have. So, from both of us here, we wish you all the best in your English learning journey, and we hope you find joy and inspiration through documentaries.
Yes, best of luck to all of you. Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Take care, everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye.